Well, as you can see, I'm unshaven, I'm quite tired, and I've been drinking copious amounts of coffee for the last 3 days, which could only mean one thing. I've been up early in the morning watching New Japan Pro Wrestling's Best of the Super Juniors 30, and this is what we're going to talk about today. So, New Japan a few weeks ago announced their Block A and Block B for their Best of the Super Juniors title, which is one of my actual favorite tournaments of the year, just behind sort of G1 and obviously some major deathmatch tournaments. And last year's Best of Super Juniors was one of the first ones to finally have Gaijins return. If you don't know what a Gaijin is, in Japan it just means like foreigners, basically Westerners, wrestlers coming over. People like Kenny Omega, he was the first Gaijin to win the G1. So last year they were allowed Gaijins to come back. We had people like Wheeler Yuta in the Best of Super Juniors, which I thought was fantastic. So this year I was quite intrigued to see who they were going to announce this year, and obviously they announced all the amazing Japanese wrestlers like Ishimori, Takahashi, guys like that. And then so we got a couple of names, and there was two that sprung out to me. The first one that sprung out to... Well, I'll just go through the blocks. We'll go through the blocks first. So Block A, that New Japan announced, was going to be Kushida, Takuchi, who's obviously... He's been around for quite a while now. He's a fan favorite when it comes to especially the comedy stuff. We've got the great Leo Rush, who's had a very interesting tournament so far as well, and he's a fan favorite. Doki, who's, I must admit, who's started growing me a little bit. We've got the champ in there as well, in Takahashi. We've also got Titan from Mexico. We've got TJP of the United Empire. Ishimori, who's also a former junior heavyweight title holder. Sho. And a big name that came up for me in Block A was the Speedball Mike Bailey. So Block A definitely had its names in there. We're going to get to Block B as well. And in Block B this year they've got El Desperado, Yo, Master Water, who's like Doki, who's also started to really, really impress me. Kevin Knight, Kadamaru, Bushi, Robbie Eagles, Francesco Akira, Clark Connors, who recently just joined Bullet Club. And the one name that really got me going was Dan Driller Killer Maloney, who, if you don't know who he is, you've never heard of him before, he is a UK independent wrestler who I've seen before in companies like I saw him wrestle Matt Cardona at TNT, and I was very impressed by. He's got a great look, he's great with the crowd, and he's got a great moveset. So obviously he got recruited by the United Empire, that's Will Ospreay's group, and now he's in this year's Best of Super Juniors, which is fantastic for him. Absolutely brilliant for him, gets his name out there. So that's the two blocks. That's Best of Super Juniors. So yes, as I said, the last 3 mornings I've watched the first. Today is the first day off, basically, for the wrestlers, because the last 3 days they've been wrestling. So basically, it's basically I've watched 30 matches in the space of 3 days, and I'm a bit glad it's like today's a day off. So we're gonna go get ourselves into that now. I'm not gonna talk about every match individually because it's 30 matches I've just watched, and there's still plenty more to go. This because this tournament runs from the 12th of May to the, let me get this right in my notes actually, it's from the 12th of May to the 28th of May this tournament runs. And then they've gone back to the old format, so it's 2 blocks of 10, top 2 from each block. So the winner of Block A will take on the second place of Block B, and vice versa. They have semi-finals, and then we'll have a final. So, but as I said, the first three nights have been very good. Tell you what, if you just want to watch just good professional wrestling, because in New Japan they don't do segments, they don't do like interviews. You know how you get stuff like, and we'll go backstage to talk to such and such on other wrestling shows. Japan don't really do that. It's match after match after match. If you just want to watch something which is pure professional wrestling, definitely go your way to watch Best of the Super Juniors, especially when you're getting 10 matches a night, so you are, and some great matches as well. So as I said, look, Dan Maloney, he's had a great start. Usually when they bring in a new guy, especially new guy Gaijins, they never really have the first round tournament, because the idea is when you come into a tournament like Best of Super Juniors, it's to show how hard it is to win it. So usually when you get a new guy coming in, they get a couple wins, but it's basically for a chance to get their name out, and then hopefully they come back the next year. But so far for Dan Maloney, great start, 2 wins and 1 defeat. So his first win, he got a great win against Bushi. Unfortunately, then he lost the next night to Karamara. But on his third night, he got a good win. I think it was Show or Yo. It was one of those. I think it was Yo. I'm gonna say Yo. But it's a great start for Dan Maloney in the Best of Super Juniors tournament, and I look forward to every one of his matches. I've been posting up on Instagram about all his matches. It's just great to see somebody from the UK going over to Japan, doing really well. And I look forward to. I mean, I would love for him to make the last four. Would be great. We'll have to wait and see his other matches. But good start for him. Good start for the UK boy. And also another guy to talk about that's had a really good start as well is Leo Rush. He's out at 3 wins out of 3. And he's already beaten people like Takahashi, who's the current IWGP Junior Heavyweight title. They had a great match, by the way. And that's the other thing I'm going to be talking about as well. Some of the great matches they've already had. And I said it's already been 30 bloody matches. But as I say, Leo Rush, he's a fan favorite. He's always been quite popular with the Japanese crowd. And especially his entrance music is quite interesting this year as well. I enjoy his charisma. He's got good charisma with the crowd. And so far, he's had 3 impressive wins. And I said a win against Takahashi. And you got to remember that even if you don't win the tournament, if you pick up a win against the champ, you possibly get a shout anyways down the road without even having to win the tournament. So there's a big target on the back of Takahashi's back right now for that. So moving on from since we were talking about Takahashi, let's talk about Takahashi even more. As I said, not a great start for the guy. He lost to a fantastic match, a brilliant match with Speedball Mike Bailey on the opening night. It was the main event. It was kind of the match I was looking forward to the most. He did pick up a win, but then he lost to Leo Rush on the third night, and not a great start for the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Champion. And the rules go the same as well for the G1. If he was to win the tournament, he would get to pick his own opponent. But so far, it's not looking good for Takahashi, which is because he's came out. He's won 4 of these already. He won 3 in a row of Best of Super Juniors, and he's came out in interviews and said he would like to win 10 of these, 10 Best of Super Juniors. That's what his goal is. He's got a lot of work to catch up on if he wants to make this his 5th win at the Best of Super Juniors. So not a good start for him. But as I say, one of the people he lost to was Speedball Mike Bailey, who's, apart from Dan Maloney, when his name got announced for this tournament, my eyes lit up. Speedball Mike Bailey, I've talked about him in previous videos, and he's had such a good, amazing year, from winning stuff like Battle of Los Angeles at PWG, I think I mentioned before. He had a really good tournament showing at the Super J Cup this year. He had a phenomenal WrestleMania weekend on the independent, especially getting to wrestle people like Kota Ibushi on Josh Barnett's Bloodsport. So yeah, to see Speedball Mike Bailey, who, by the way, I did not know. I knew the man could speak English and French. Did not know he could speak fluent Japanese as well. It just adds another amazing thing to his list. But no, he's had some really, really awesome matches. Opening night, obviously, with Takahashi. And then on the third night, he had a really good showing against TJP. I thought they had a really good technical. The second match he had was against Sho, and he managed to survive the House of Torture shenanigans. So, which is one thing I was going to say earlier. It's the other thing I kind of like about New Japan. Very, very little shenanigans, and the only shenanigans we've kind of seen so far is a little bit from the House of Torture with Evil coming out and helping Sho. That's about it, really. But as I said, Mike Bailey, 3 wins out of 3 for him as well. Go watch his match with Takahashi and the match with TJP. I'm looking forward to other matches he's probably going to have too. He's one of the highlights, I think, for this year's, one of the big selling points, I think, for this year's Best of Super Juniors. He's so grateful and appreciative to be out there, and the Japanese audience really appreciate this guy's style and how much he respects Kings Road and Strong Style, and his martial arts background as well comes into play. So I'm looking more and more forward to seeing what he's going to be doing. So, we can talk now probably more of the Japanese guys. And definitely 2 names who've been impressed. 2 names who I wasn't sure about, but have grown on me and definitely impressed me more and more as this tournament goes on, is Doki and Master Wato. Now, we saw both these guys, and I talked about both these guys in the Wrestle Kingdom 17 when they did the Fatal 4-Way for the IWGP Junior Heavyweight title, where Takahashi came away with the win. And although Doki wasn't in that match, but Master Wato was in that match. Master Wato very impressed me in that match, because I was never sure about him coming in. And Master Wato really impressed me, and the crowd are more and more getting behind Master Wato, and I've caught myself there rooting for the guy. Same with Doki, as I made the mistake, he wasn't in that Fatal 4-Way of Wrestle Kingdom 17. However, though, he has been... See, when I first saw him, I wasn't sure about the look, it looked kind of like a cheap Mortal Kombat character, and just the way he sort of presented himself, I wasn't like, I don't know if I can take this guy seriously. But in ring, though, he has been fantastic. He's very, very, he's fast, he's clean, he tells a good story. I've always found it impressive when people who can show emotions and that to have to wear masks. I think some guys are really, really good at it. And you can tell again, though, he's another one that the New Japan fan base are really getting behind now, and they really want to see him. Actually, these two guys have had a really impressive sort of showing so far. Even if these guys don't win it, or depends how many wins they get, I think the crowd are going to be... I think these guys are going to be at a higher level at the end of this tournament. I think the fans are going to be way more into these two guys by the end of this as well. And then, another Japanese guy we've got to talk about, a name that a lot of you might know, especially if you're WWE fans, is Kushida, who I was a big fan of in New Japan. And then he obviously went to NXT. And now he's back at New Japan, obviously. He's had 3 defeats, which is strange. I had him pinned down as one of my favorites that was going to go on and maybe win the tournament. Actually, was going to be Kushida. A good way to bring him back, get him right back up there. And yeah, he's had 3 defeats. He's had 3 defeats, which is rare for someone like Kushida. You don't see that often, especially in a tournament base as well, because he was a former winner. He won in 2015 and I want to say 2017, I think he won it. So that's been a bit of a shock as well. So, as I said, I've watched 30 matches over the last 3 days. We've got 2 days off now. Tuesday is when they come back with their next show. It's 10 matches a night. If you've never watched this sort of stuff before, or you're like tournament wrestling as well, I would definitely go out your way to try and watch the Best of Super Juniors. I'm going to try and watch every match. I say try. Obviously with real life and work getting in the way, and the early morning start times, it's fun being a UK fan when you've got to stay up to about 1, 2 in the morning to watch wrestling in America, and then if I want to watch stuff in Japan, I have to get up about 7, 8, 9 in the morning to watch that. But look, if you get a chance to watch any highlights, if you get a chance to watch any of these matches, especially anything with Speedball Mike Bailey in it, anything with the Takahashi matches have been great too. I might do a video at the end of this whole tournament on my favorite matches that happened. But I'd say definitely so far so good for Best of Super Juniors. It's been great wrestling. I would go out your way to watch this wrestling. And I said I will see you again for another video, and I will definitely try and keep reporting as the tournament goes on. It's going to be a bit hard. I'm already knackered from the first 3 days, and I ran out of coffee. So, anyways, you guys have a great day today, and I shall see you again for the next video.